Hey folks, Jared here. This is the inaugural episode of the Debaser podcast. And as a heads up, our recording equipment was very amateur at the time, so it's not going to sound as crisp and clean as the rest of our episodes. This episode and our Black Hawk Down ep were made with just what we had at the time. So I apologize in advance, but just know that we had a major upgrade in equipment going forward. Okay, thank you and enjoy the show.
You got to kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you got to take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells. Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Will, we just watched Heat.
We did 1995's Heat by Michael Mann.
You know, I chase down some cruise guys just looking to fuck up, get busted back. That you?
You must have worked some dipshit cruise.
I worked all kinds.
You see me doing thrill-seeker liquor store holdups with a Born to Lose tattoo on my chest?
No, I do not.
Right. I am never going back.
Then don't take down scores.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
You've never seen this movie before.
I've never seen this movie before.
I've seen this movie 5 or 6 times now. I was very late to this movie. I was a child when it came out, so I missed it. And we are both huge fans of The Dark Knight.
Yes.
And I did tell you going into this movie that this is probably the single biggest inspiration for The Dark Knight. Having seen it now, do you agree or disagree with that premise?
So when you framed it as much as this was like the inspiration for The Dark Knight, I thought to myself, oh, well then there's clearly going to be like a Batman and Joker character, right? And I mean, you kind of get that, but it makes more sense that it's inspired in the sense that the way that the city is filmed, it's kind of dark, it's gritty. You see like a lot of how do you say, urban decay, right? Like you see a lot of piping, steam coming off the pipes, a lot of backs of the buildings because that's where De Niro would like go in to go collect stuff. Yeah. And even the scene at the end with the airplane area, you see like open hangars, they're fighting around storage containers, you know. So yeah, the way that Los Angeles was filmed probably was definitely a direct, how do you say, inspiration for how Gotham was in The Dark Knight.
Right. And like even though Nolan's Batman films are all filmed in Chicago and are very clearly like set in Chicago, like that's his version of Gotham, I still feel like, you know, Los Angeles is the setting for Heat, and it is, you know, part and parcel of the entire movie. Like this, Michael Mann made a film that is essentially a like a rough draft of this movie, and it's called L.A. Takedown. This movie was always going to be set in L.A., but the way Michael Mann films L.A., it feels more like an urban metropolis in the way that Gotham or Chicago or even New York can be.
I want to say
it's all concrete almost.
Yeah, we were like, what, 20, 30 minutes in, and I was like, hey, by the way, where does this take place?
Yeah, you weren't even sure at the beginning,
So, I mean, like, when you don't live in a city, because I don't live in a city.
You've never been to LA either?
No, I've never been to LA. So like, you know, every city looks the same. You could have changed the name and I would have been like, oh yeah, that's fine. You could have told me it was Detroit or...
and movies are notorious for every city looks like Vancouver. You know?
Yeah. So, and then that was another thing too, is when Pacino was flying around in a helicopter. Yeah. It was very reminiscent. Well, the scene with the bat plane. I don't think that's what it's called in the.
Do you mean in Rises?
Yeah. What is the name of that vehicle? It's not the bat plane, but like that's what I know it as.
Pod.
It's just the bat.
It's called the Bat. You're right.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, legitimately. I own a toy of it because of course I do. I own like, they're not Hot Wheels. They're Hot Wheels toys, but they're not the regular Hot Wheels scale. They're a little bigger.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the scale size is.
Is it 144? I bet you it's like
no, it's above that. It's like 135, I think.
Okay.
I think it's 135.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit bigger.
Then
because like I'm holding, this is a terrible visual aid, but they're about this big.
I got you. So it's like a box.
Yeah, I have a collection of like every Batmobile ever that I've been building, and they even did some for the new Robert Pattinson Batman movie. And I had to get.
Oh, of course you did.
I got this motorcycle.
This guy really likes Batman, by the way.
You're goddamn right. Anyway.
But yes, you can definitely see like Nolan was probably what, in his 20s when this movie came out. How old is Nolan? He's in his 40s, isn't he? He's like 10 years older than us.
Is he? I actually don't know how old Nolan is. He doesn't look.
I'm gonna circle back on that one, but
yeah,
Nolan definitely saw this movie, or maybe he's just a fan of Michael Mann.
Maybe in film school. Do you think he was in film school in the 90s?
That is a good question.
Because when did Following come out? That was his first movie, and that was like a student film for him, I think, or it was right out of college.
We're going to find out in just a minute because I have Dr. Google on the case.
Look it up. Will.
He's 52 years old.
Okay, that
Chris
tracks.
Nolan is 52 years old. So he was definitely in his 20s.
Yeah.
He was probably in film school, and he probably saw Heat.
When did Following come out? Can you...
Chris Nolan, Following, that's his movie.
Yeah, that was his first movie.
Came out in 1998.
98. So 3 years after Heat. Yeah, look at that. Interesting. He saw Heat in the theater and was like, it's good.
Okay.
You know what? Okay. I almost don't want to tell you something in it that's really small, but you're going to do the Leonardo DiCaprio meme thing when you see it. Because I did, and it blew my mind. And of course, it doesn't matter in the scheme of things until you know something that he did later. Okay, I'm just going to tell you because I can't,
just tell me what is it?
I can't tantalize this on the podcast.
No, you
I
can't.
have to say it. So there's a scene in Following, his first movie that I'm pretty sure he made in film school, where the main character is leaving his apartment. It's like in the middle of the movie, and it's sandwiched in between some scenes. And as he's exiting his apartment door, his door swings out, and there's a giant Batman sticker on his front door. And if that isn't fucking serendipitous as hell, man, I remember literally doing the Leonardo meme where I'm like, oh my shit, look at that, oh my god,
that's pretty wild.
And like 20 years later, he is just reshaping the Batman franchise
in a very good way.
I mean, you're never going to be able to talk about Batman without talking about Nolan's influence now.
The trilogy was so fantastic. It's like, even though I know Pattinson's movie came out, and that's like, you feel like Pattinson is your...
I love that movie.
Right. But would you say like Pattinson is your Batman? Does he replace... Because I love...
Kevin Conroy's my Batman.
Oh, well...
And he always
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't keep going because I was going to say just like the movies, not necessarily the animated. Well, obviously, Kevin Conroy is the best Batman, but
that's my headcanon Batman though too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But because we were talking about Heat.
Yeah. What are we doing? This is not a Batman podcast.
Anyways,
this is the kind of quality you'll come to expect from this podcast.
Oh no. So speaking of Heat and the influences that I think Nolan stole from this, another thing too is. To talk about Batman, Al Pacino, our titular, one of our titular main characters. He's he's a deputy or not a deputy. What is he?
He's the lead detective on the robbery and homicide in Los Angeles on the major crimes unit.
Right, and he is channeling his best Joker. I'm not even kidding you. The scene. Because you put this in my head because you were
I did. I influenced you a little too much.
I was like, okay, so Pacino's obviously on the good side, so he's Batman, and De Niro is, he's doing bad things, so he's clearly the Joker, right? And you're like, oh, but what if it was opposite? And then you put that fucking mind word in my head, and so when what was it? It was an hour and a half into the movie. Pacino and De Niro finally meet. This is the whole movie is sold on these two guys meeting for the first time in film.
Yeah, the marketing for this film, the trailers and everything was about how the two titans of acting finally are face to face because they've been in The Godfather Part 2 together.
Yeah,
they don't share a scene together.
But anyways, so they finally meet and Pacino's like, "Hey, follow me. Let's get some coffee." To De Niro, and De Niro's like, "Yeah, I guess that's a good idea." And they're sitting there and they're talking to each other and having this like philosophical talk about like
two guys in a coffee shop, and it's one of the greatest scenes. I mean, I've seen that scene 1,000 times because I pulled it up on YouTube just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
and it's just just guys being dudes. No, it's a great scene.
No, it's a good scene.
Because so much is being said and shown with so little. Because those two guys, they're both professionals. You know, one is a professional robber. The other is a,
professional detective.
Professional detective. A very successful detective.
So successful, he's gotten through 3 marriages.
Well, on the downslope of a third failing marriage.
Yeah.
But they're both constantly checking the room. Like, they're uneasy with each other, but they're not trying to show it. Their eyes are constantly watching the entire room. They're trying to know their exits, all the people inside, like, if there's anyone watching them. They're trying not to stand out. And they slowly, like, they're just trading little barbs at first.
Yeah.
Then they slowly start to open up to each other because they realize they have more in common than anybody else in this movie. Like, they can speak to each other in a way that they can't talk to other people in their lives.
Right.
In a way, it's because they've closed themselves off to everyone else in their life. Robert De Niro, he's intentionally closed himself off because he's obsessed with his job and he doesn't want to get caught. So he doesn't allow himself to get attached to anybody because he needs to be ready to rock and roll at the drop of a hat.
That's right.
Something I've always wanted someone to say about me.
He has to, if there's 30
He feels
seconds.
the heat coming around the corner. You got to be ready to go in 30 seconds flat.
That's right, yeah.
Al Pacino is just so obsessed with catching criminals that it's all he cares about, and he just can't. Evidently, it prevents him from, he brings his job home, so he doesn't care. He doesn't show affection to his
third wife. We're assuming it's what's
ruined his other marriages from what he tells us.
Yeah, and his stepdaughter.
His stepdaughter, who is also, I guess, not getting affection from either her biological dad or from him. So his life's a mess.
And I think the weight of his job does weigh on him because he talks about this dream that he has of all the victims of all the crimes that he's, worked on. And he sees their bloated bodies because it had been so long before somebody found them. He sees the bloodshot eyes from getting, bashed, their head bashed in. And I guess that, informs his sense of justice. I've seen all these dead people. I have to do right by them and whatnot.
Right. And that's why it drives his obsession.
Yeah.
And it also just closes him off. And it means he doesn't want to share parts of his, what he sees in his day-to-day job with his wife. He doesn't want to come home and say, listen, this is what I see every day. But obviously men would rather hunt each other to the death instead of go to therapy. This is just another example of toxic masculinity.
Well, this is 1995. Jared.
95, this is before men were allowed to go to therapy.
Exactly. So what I was going to get was with the possible influences on Nolan's The Dark Knight, Pacino in that conversation had an affectation to the way that he was talking. I didn't catch that he was like looking and making sure that he knew his exits and was kind of uneasy, but he kept doing the thing that Heath Ledger was doing as the Joker with the, like, you can't see what I'm doing, but
he had ticks.
He's doing ticks and he's licking his lips, It reminded me of this, not to go off on a tangent, but there is this like guy on Instagram that does baby Joker. He puts a filter on his face where he looks young, and he's
I already hate this,
dude. No, and he gets the mannerisms down. He like rolls his eyes and stuff. And
oh man, my word!
And smacks his lips like, "Hey Jimmy, you see that dog over there? You should go pet him." And then like it's a clip of a kid walking and he's gonna go pet the dog and the dog like bowls him over and then the guy cackles like the Joker. So he's doing the lip affectation that I thought Heath Ledger had gotten from watching Tom Waits.
I mean, yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say.
He gets it from Tom Waits.
Majority is he grabbed it from Tom Waits.
Yeah.
In a particular, I think it was like a David Letterman interview.
Yeah, it was an interview.
It was a little, Tom Waits.
A long time ago. Yeah. Because it was in black and white.
Well, Tom Waits is old too. I mean,
I know.
Guy's getting up there, but he's,
he's an eccentric fellow.
Super eccentric,
yeah,
but in such a cool way.
No, I saw Seven Psychopaths with him, and
he's in that.
I specifically sought that movie out because I'd seen that Letterman interview after hearing about Heath Ledger getting his affectation from that.
Yeah,
and Seven Psychopaths came out, and I remember seeing like Tom Waits was in it, and I was like, I'm gonna go get that.
You know who wrote and directed that?
Who?
Martin McDonagh. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
No way! Just blew
Banshees
my mind.
of
Ensuring that I need to go
I was gonna
watch
it. Yeah. We were discussing that off pod.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, but I saw bits and pieces of that. He doesn't do that in the film at all, except for that one conversation. He's very bombastic.
Yeah. Yeah, Pacino's performance in this entire movie is
fantastic
because people reference it all the time, and they just think that that's Al Pacino. No, that's Al Pacino in this movie. Like, yeah, okay, he's a great actor. He's one of our greatest living actors. Period. There's a reason they brought his ass out on the Game Awards this year.
you just dated the episode. Good job.
His performance in this movie is incredible. Like you can watch it 25 years later and still be blown away. Like you were bowled over.
Oh yeah, it was cracking
multiple scenes of his.
Yeah,
because you just don't. First of all, you don't know what he's doing. He's coming in so hot, and will just blow up in mid sentence. Even he's just so dynamic like that. But also, okay, something I was sitting on this whole time that I was waiting to tell you.
Yeah,
and this actually didn't come out until kind of recently, because Al Pacino was giving an interview, and they were asking him about. I don't remember where the interview was, but they were asking him about why his character is the way he is in this movie. Because it seems like there's little to no explanation, and some of the best explanation I've heard is like he's just trying to upset or destabilize the people he's interrogating.
Right.
So one of the biggest reasons I've heard is like he's trying to upset or destabilize or off-put the people he's interrogating or just talking to, or that he's just so emotionally manic from his obsession with his job and everything he's seen at work, this trauma, that's just how he is. But he revealed in an interview like a few years ago, very recently, that actually something that him and Michael Mann came up with for the character, but wasn't actually shown in the movie, whether it didn't make it to, the script or if they just cut it out.
Landed on the cutting room floor.
Right. He's a cocaine addict. He's constantly doing coke.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that, but they never showed it.
So it makes so much sense when you think about it, because that's why he's just so hot sometimes.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, mentally, emotionally, coming in hot as shit. What is he doing? It's so upsetting. But it works in the scene.
Right.
And then knowing that background, too, makes it even better. But oh my god, it's so good.
Well, so actually, what's funny is if he hadn't said that, right?
Yeah.
I actually think that you were kind of onto something where So I wrote on here, he comes alive when you see him go to work. The moment that he leaves the house, he's like energetic.
He's animated.
In the zone. He's animated, exactly.
Right.
Because that's where he lives. And then when he goes home, he takes all the stuff that has happened during the day and closes himself off. So the reason why he's acting so manic and so energetic is because that's his therapy. Even though it's like adding more stress to his life, that's his therapy, and that's what's getting him to express himself. But if it's just that he's a cocaine addict, I mean, that makes sense too. That's kind of what I thought, but they never showed it.
I think both
are,
yeah,
maybe
parts of it essentially,
right?
Because I'm sure Michael Mann maybe backed off the cocaine thing and felt like it was a bit too much, and he didn't want to show like a cop with a drug problem kind of thing. Because he's happy to show cops that
are dirty,
not always dirty necessarily, because like I think there were dirty cops in Miami Vice and stuff, but he likes to show how he frequently does the thing where like the cops and criminals are just kind of two sides of the same coin, in the same way, in a way that, like, to bring this back to the Dark Knight, the Joker is constantly trying to compare himself to Batman, and Batman's like, I'm nothing like you, and it's like, you're a little similar, kind of, but unless in a way, if that's true, Neil McCauley, Robert De Niro's character, and Al Pacino, Vincent Hanna's character, really are super similar, and they realize
in that conversation,
in this diner conversation, that they have way more in common with each other than they do with anybody else in their lives, and that it gives them this like bond, this kind of unspoken bond that they have, which makes that ending scene so powerful for me.
So before we get to that,
I don't want to jump
before
to the
we get
end.
To that, I wanted to talk about De Niro's character, because De Niro's character is the complete opposite of Pacino.
He's super clean cut. He's regimented. He's disciplined.
He how do you say? He has a plan, no matter where he is. As you said, he's 100% confident in everything that he does, to the point where he can just walk into a building in the back, not get stopped by security, steal, uniforms, call up the front desk and make a lie,
social engineer the operator to get the information he needs.
So like he is a summit professional. He knows exactly what he wants to do and gets it done, right? He doesn't have a lot of expressive things. There's the trite romance that they have in the movie, with him and judging Amy.
Edie.
Who's
I don't remember the actress's name.
Who cares?
It's maybe the weakest part of the film for me.
Same. We don't hate women though. Ashley Judd was fantastic.
No, Ashley Judd, and then what is Al Pacino's wife?
Oh, I don't know the actress's name.
She's also incredible in this.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
It's Edie that's
a low point, unfortunately.
It doesn't do it. It might be the age difference for me that's like I just can't get past that. You know?
Well, it's hard to think that this guy who lives by this mantra, be ready in 30 seconds, attaches himself to somebody to the point where he's taking them
country bumpkin. Pick him up in a bar over a minerals bucket.
Not just that, but like at the very end of the movie, taking somehow bribing her to come with him and taking her to the airport because they were going to run away together. How did he convince her to do that when after he just
he had a very romantic scene in the dark where he was like, if you want to run away, you can, but I don't want to be alone anymore, and that was all it took, I guess.
That's so fucking stupid.
I feel like it's Stockholm syndrome. It's how it felt. That's why all of those scenes after she realizes he's a bank robber just feel so
weird. They could have just cut her out.
It just doesn't work. Yeah. No, it had to be why. I get why it's in the script. I think it's the chemistry between the actors that doesn't do it for me. But because in the script, it's why Neil Macaulay De Niro decides to break his own rules and lets himself get caught in the end, essentially, because he's like,
I got a loose end, man. I got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, either way, but the difference between the two is one's animated and one isn't, right? When you can look at the Joker is chaotic and he does all sorts of goofiness, and Batman is very regimented. The man literally breaks his body for this city. So, I mean, you can see a lot of when we come back to the question of how this was, or not question, but the topic of how was this pitched to me. I can very much see how this could have influenced Nolan, a young Nolan, in the early 90s, or I guess the mid 90s. But yeah, I mean, that's them, in a nutshell. I don't. Pacino is such a more interesting character for me. I think partially because of the animated bit, but also because he's the good guy. They didn't spend a lot of time making him look like he's got any professional flaws. Like when he goes to work, he gets the job done and whatnot. And I mean, you even asked me at the height of the movie, who are you pulling for? Who do you want to
as
they're
come out on top? Getting in that shootout at LAX, I was like, who are you pulling for right now?
Who do you think I was pulling for?
I guess I knew that you were, because you had just said something about Pacino's character, and so that's why I asked.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, in that moment, I'm pulling for De Niro.
Why? That's because I wanted to reverse the question and ask you. Why?
It's not that I want him to kill Pacino. Sure. I want him to get away.
Why?
Because I like the guy. He's likable. He's a consummate professional.
Yeah.
He's ready to rock and roll at the drop of a hat.
I know, but so many people died because of the bad decisions that he made, and
absolutely,
he got his own crew killed by bad decisions.
He got Tom Sizemore and
Captain
kinda got Trejo killed.
And Captain Anderson. He got Captain Anderson of the
Dennis Haysbert
of the captain of the Alliance fleet in Mass Effect. He got him killed. Just be like, hey, we got a job. You in or out? Yes or no? Come on.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
So bad.
They knew the risks.
No, that's awful.
That's literally what he says about Tom Sizemore's character. He know the risk. He tries to talk. Okay, I didn't want to spoil anything as it was happening, but in that scene where he realizes the cops are on them and he's trying to talk everybody out of it.
That's right.
He basically tries to tell Tom Sizemore, he's like, get out of this. You've got other investments. Don't go in on this.
Yeah, you've got property, you've got diamonds, you've got all that stuff.
You've got T-bonds, but he's like,
I'm not in here for the.
He's like, I'll do whatever you're gonna do. And he's like, no, I want you out of this. You've got a family. And he's like, well, come on, for me the action is the juice.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the coolest lines in this fucking movie.
It reminds me of Jeremy Renner in Hurt Locker. You ever seen Hurt Locker?
I own it and I've never seen it. It's Catherine Bigelow, so
yeah, we'll put a pin on that one.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that one.
Her, she Is that her only Best Picture?
Yeah, I think so.
Winner?
And she was divorced James Cameron in Hurt Locker
that's a
beat
whole-
Avatar.
We'll get into that on the Hurt Locker episode.
Oh, are we actually going to do it?
Let's do okay, I'll
Not
compromise.
the next one, but we'll do it.
We'll compromise.
Okay.
Let's do Hurt Locker.
Okay.
And then you have to watch Point Break with me.
Okay, that's fine. I'll watch any movie with you. You already know it. I've just watched this movie with you, and you always hold it as, it's essentially like early version of Dark Knight. I'm like, okay, man, I'm in.
Have you seen Point Break though?
No, I haven't.
Listen, she made that movie in like 92.
Oh, she made that movie.
Yes. It's Catherine Bigelow's movie.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves is so fucking hot in it. It's so good. It's a fantastic movie. It holds up so well. There was like a remake like 10 years ago that stars a bunch of nobodies that doesn't need to exist.
Okay.
But the original Point Break, it's Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
Okay.
And Lori, Tank Girl. Lori Petty. Got it.
Ooh,
Lori Petty.
Don't email us.
Fantastic movie, man. We'll have to watch that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm down.
But then hopefully I like Hurt Locker. I've heard great things. I did buy the Steelbook.
It's good. Anthony Mackie in it is fantastic.
Anthony Mackie's in it?
Anthony Mackie and Jeremy Renner. Yeah, they got Hawkeye and Falcon.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah. And I'm a big war movie person. I like that movie. It's a good one.
It's so strange to me.
I know, isn't it weird? I like it because they're like most war movies are anti-war.
Well, yeah.
And it's like a fun message. It's like, fun watching people, slowly lose their humanity and become worse at the end of it. You know me, man. I like that. I like Martyrs, so
Oh boy.
I had to mention it. Anyways, so speaking of Tom Sizemore, so I wrote him down because you said that there's a lot of side stuff because when the movie first started, I started recognizing a bunch of people. I was like, oh man, Danny Trejo's in this movie. This movie's got everything. It's got Danny Trejo. It's got Tom Sizemore. It's got the guy who gets stepped on by a T-Rex in Jurassic Park Lost World.
That was a great pull too. He was just inside of a car. You saw him through the windshield.
I watched that movie like 30 fucking times. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably one of the worst ones. It's got I hear
World.
Yeah, Lost World.
I was hearing Park.
Oh no, it's in the second movie.
So the Colin Trevorrow one?
No. Jurassic Park Lost World. It's the second movie.
Lost World, not Jurassic.
Yeah, it's the one where Ian Malcolm goes to the second island. It's in Sorna, and there's like
Vince Vaughn in it?
Vince Vaughn's in it. He's from Greenpeace. He breaks out the dinosaurs. He's like big into like conservationism. This is the reason why I like this movie.
Does that movie open with a bunch of little dinosaurs killing a little girl?
Yes. So
I remember that being so bizarre.
Not to go into a weird tangent, but
please let us be the tangent podcast.
Okay. So that Compsognathus part was actually in the book. In the book, a hospital is visited by Alan Grant, and they have him come in as a consultation because they're like, "What is this?" Because he's a big paleontologist, right? And they've got a dead compy in a bag, and they're like, "Yeah, a little girl got attacked by one of these." And that was in the book for the first movie. And so they took that part and they put it in this movie.
Okay.
So just like neat little tidbit, there's like a bunch of like cool things that they did keep and then didn't keep out of the second book. Actually, I think it's Michael Crichton had to write the second book. They were like, hey, you need to do this.
You need to pump this out
because we're making another movie. And if you don't, well, then we're just going to do whatever with the second movie. It was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll try.
I might as well have my name attached and get another check.
Vince Vaughn's character isn't even in the book. And he's arguably my favorite character in the...
Really?
I love him. He's like... He brings this weird charisma to the movie. He does. He absolutely does. He's like, he's this freelance photographer. He like,
Listener, my eyebrows are raised. That's why he's getting defensive.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I really like him. And he's like, oh yeah, John Hammond also hired me for insurance to break out the dinosaurs, and then he frees a bunch of fucking dinosaurs, and we had a really cool scene. I like Vince Vaughn. You can go fuck yourself. Anyways,
I didn't. He doth protest too much. Okay.
Anyways, the movie's also got Captain Anderson, and it got a whole bunch of people, right? But Tom Sizemore, I recognize him from Saving Private Ryan because he's Sergeant Pilla. Not Pilla. Pilla is in Black Hawk Down. He's the first guy that gets fucking shot.
Oh, is he also in that?
No. It's a different person. What? Now I can't remember. He's a first sergeant, and he like brings this air of professionalism to the team. I'm sure everybody recognizes him. He kind of like bleeds out after getting shot a bunch of times. He actually hits a Nazi with his helmet while they're trying to fiddle for their pistols because they've run out of bullets. And he, gets the draw on him and kills him, but he's sustained too much damage and he kind of like dies on his own. It's really sad. But Tom Sizemore is very recognizable to me. And you were like, we'll talk about it here. So what's up with him?
There's a lot to unpack, and I'm only going to talk about what I know was happening around the time of this movie because let's just say I glanced at his history, and there has been more developments in the recent years that don't want to touch on because I'm not sure if it's been investigated or not.
Jesus, what happened?
Yeah, I'm afraid. So I know.
Don't tell me.
Yeah, if you're seeing the Hollywood Reporter article,
no, I'm not.
I just saw.
I was just trying to look at what character he was in Saving Private Ryan. That's
okay.
all.
So I'll just say this: what I know for a fact, without having to do some,
Sergeant Mike Horvath. That was the
from
name.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
Okay. So without doing some quick and dirty research on Pod, Tom Sizemore has had a long struggle with drug addiction and substance abuse, and I know that Steven Spielberg handpicked him for Saving Private Ryan and was like, I want you to get cleaned up to do this movie. Like, I'm going to drug test you every day. And if you fail, you're off the movie. Yeah. So Spielberg like went to bat and was like fighting for him to clean himself up and get on this movie because he wanted him in it. And Michael Mann took a liking to him as well and wanted him to be in this movie.
Yeah.
And I believe similarly was like, hey, if you keep clean, like you'll be on this movie. Like I really want you on this. Now, I believe he relapsed later in the 90s because I think he did like a reality show that was that was very exploitative. And
was it one of those was it like the VH1 where they put a bunch of like no-name celebrities in a house together?
Yeah, and didn't the lead singer not the lead singer, a different member of Alice in Chains. I want to say it was like the bassist for Alice in Chains. Like ended up ODing on that show or something.
Possibly.
I think that
I didn't see that season. I saw the season where the
or was it like Dr. Drew I'm thinking of? He had a reality show where the Alice in Chains guy.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, it's cursed and we don't know enough. We should talk about it. It's bad, very bad, no good. Don't watch.
But he has a drug addiction. That's
Tom Sizemore has had a very complicated.
That's really sad.
history.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, exactly. Because you see him on screen and he has such a good presence.
Yes,
and you really pull for him. But he's so good in this movie at being like a puppy dog. Like whenever he looks at De Niro,
he's got these puppy dog eyes.
Yeah,
he's just like, I want to make you proud, boss.
But he's such a great actor because in the diner scene near the beginning, after the first heist has gone well, but Waingro did fuck it up by killing somebody. De Niro sits down in the booth next to Waingro and slams his head into the table in the window.
Yeah.
And then just some onlooker from another table starts giving him eyes, like, what's going on over here? Do I need to call the police? And Tom Sizemore just leans over and shoots him a look that just screams violence. And if you ever get that look in public, you know what it means. Oh, yeah. You know to fuck off immediately.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
He had an excellent presence. I liked him a lot, and I was really excited to see him there because, like, I have very fond memories of his character in Saving Private Ryan.
He is also, I don't count Waingro as part of the actual crew. Let's just say the crew.
Yeah.
The essential crew here is Robert De Niro, Danny Trejo, Tom Sizemore, and Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
What a team. But Tom Sizemore is maybe the dirtiest one because when he gets cornered in the shootout towards the end of the film, he picks up a little girl.
Yep.
And uses her as a body shield. And it's disgusting. As much as you want to pull for all the criminals in this movie,
I don't. That's the thing. When all that was going down, when they were breaking out of the bank, right? I was like, you're like, oh man, get ready. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome. It was very cool to watch a shootout and stuff. But I don't know, man. I got this weird thing where, like, if I see random cops or random soldiers, die in the background, I'm like, they were just doing their job, kind of thing where these guys.
Do you have like the Star Wars cannon fodder brain?
Yes, I do. Actually, no, it's really funny. Whenever I'm watching any like Rogue One, right? There's three squadrons, so blue, red, and gold, right? Mm-hmm. Every time I see an X-wing go down, I think, man, that was a person
that always bums the shit out of me, honestly.
Yeah, pressed into
especially
service.
When they're rebels in Star Wars. Yeah,
exactly, because those aren't normal soldiers. Like the guy who leads,
those aren't conscripts. Those were people that were like, I'm going to stand up to the Empire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm watching these, good thing was Dark Knight Rises, when all the cops come out in their uniforms and they're dressed blues and they're about to go in.
And there's a whole thing with
I don't know his name, but
anyway,
like
Matthew Modine.
Yeah, they get him to go out there and go do thing, and he's like the first cop that dies.
Yeah,
it hurts,
and it's like a big thing because it was like a whole like subplot where he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to stand up to Bane," and then he shows up to Bane in his dress blues, and he immediately the camera pans over his like dead body afterwards, and it's like, oh,
it's rough. It's rough. So like whenever things like that happen, I'm like, oh man, this kind of sucks because those criminals chose to do whatever they're doing,
right?
And those guys were just on the dime. Now this is LAPD, and I know they're corrupt. It's fine, but I'm not thinking about that whenever
that's not part of this movie.
Yeah, no. So they roll out and they start shooting people. Like the guy who played the dude from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh God, I don't know his name.
But Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill immediately takes a round.
A cop in this movie.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill takes a round to the neck immediately. Yeah. Al Pacino
first one down, right?
Does not stand by him and help his buddy, like be with his buddy as he dies.
He takes his pulse.
He checks his pulse. He's still moving. Jared, no. Go watch it again. He's still struggling.
I believe you. But he's focused on taking down Macaulay's team.
Right. But that's so fucked. But anyway, so like he leaves.
Like we've been saying.
I know.
He's a man obsessed.
I know, but this actually circles back to the fucking ending. So give me a second. But Buffalo Bill's fucking taking a stray round. He's dying. And he gets left behind. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing like just people getting mowed the fuck down. And I'm wondering to myself, so how is this going to end? Are we like, there's another hour to this fucking movie. Like, what's going to happen? Captain Anderson dies almost immediately because he's not got any body armor on. He gets fucked by, just the one police officer with the shotgun that kills people from fucking 50 yards away.
I don't know if you could narrow down who kills him because they're being fired at by multiple cops at that point. But
I would like to believe it's him.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we've got Tom Sizemore, Val Kilmer, and De Niro on foot, just mowing down police officers. Being Kilmer's laying suppression fire. He's the trigger man too. If you notice, like throughout the movie, he's like always on a scope. He's very good when it comes to arms.
He takes out the one guy at the theater much earlier in the movie.
Right.
He almost takes out the driver, but Tom Sizemore finishes him off later. Yeah, Kilmer is
doing it. He's doing work.
He took his gun training
very seriously.
Oh man,
watching him move, it was like a machine. It's
incredible.
It was impressive.
And he was Batman the same year.
That's
a man who refuses to use guns. You would think counterintuitive.
But so anyways, they're doing their thing and they're killing cops and whatnot, and Sizemore gets separated from the group, and Kilmer gets around too, and
Kilmer gets it to the neck or face.
It's somewhere around
shoulder
here, because they have a bandage there, and then Sizemore does the scumbag thing, finds a fucking kid, and pays for it. I honestly thought that Pacino was gonna fuck it up, and
I cannot believe he took a shot. While he was holding that kid.
Well, the cocaine thing.
Actually, makes you take a risk. Is that
he's like, inhibition's like, I really need to get this guy down.
Right.
I'm pretty good at shooting, I think. So take the shot, right? So he kills Sizemore. So I did want to say at the end of the movie, not to like jump around, but at the end of the movie, Pacino is holding De Niro's arm because after shooting him a bunch of times, and like lets him die with someone that like understands him standing there. He gave
hand in hand.
He gave De Niro, a murderer and bank robber, more respect than Buffalo Bill dying on the fucking street by himself. And there's a part of me that doesn't like Luke Skywalker because of the exact same thing. When Biggs Darkletter gets blown up in the fucking Death Star trench, he comes home, not a care in the fucking... That's his childhood friend. Mm-hmm. And he comes home, a big hero, doesn't take a fucking second to be like, we lost some good people back there.
Yeah, the movie doesn't take a moment to... Yeah.
Fuck.
I will argue. Yeah, do they ever mention the deceased cops after that shootout? I actually
no, they don't.
Struggling to think if they do. So I will argue that he didn't take a moment to pause for Buffalo Bill because the shootout had just begun. There were more pressing matters in front of him.
Sure.
There are 3 men with fully automatic machine guns unloading into a city full of people. At the end of the shootout, the end of the movie at LAX, that there's no more danger. Like the scene is over. Macaulay's even dropped his gun. He knows that he doesn't pose a threat anymore.
Yeah,
but also, it's movie magic, baby.
I know. It's just, baby. What was it? You're supposed to be sharing me with the job, baby. Yes. He says some good shit in this movie.
Every line is so good. Okay.
Yes.
Let's back up a lot. Will, do you want to introduce yourself and talk about where you are with film? What is your,
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you want my occupation? Like currently, I was gonna say
we don't have to do that.
Currently, I'm a stay-at-home dad and I paint models professionally. I work for Games Workshop. No. So as far as movies, I watched a lot of schlock growing up. I was big in. I got to see Jurassic Park when I was 3, when it came out in 1993. I grew up watching Star Wars and Disney movies, and also the other the off-brand animation stuff. I grew up watching Don Bluth stuff, like American Tail, Secret of Nim.
Oh, okay. And like Five Goes West, maybe?
So Five Goes West is actually Universal Pictures after the fact. And Don Bluth also worked on Land Before Time, the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I own that one.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that I got into movies that, have a purpose or started understanding or made me think until around high school when I met my wife now, I asked her
future guest on the pod, Haley.
Yeah, it'll probably be a horror thing or something. I don't know.
Oh, sure.
Or maybe it's gonna be an anime movie. I'm just kidding. But I asked her, hey, what are you into? And she's like, oh, well, I'm big into this game Silent Hill, and a new movie came out at the time, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to watch that. And same thing with V for Vendetta. Which I know that what's his name didn't like the adaptation of V for Vendetta, but
Alan Moore
doesn't like anything. That's true. That's true.
He worships a snake god. It's okay.
Right. So, but the big movie that I was into at that time of meeting her was Saw, the Saw franchise.
Oh,
I was
wow.
really into. When I found out that Jigsaw was the dude that has been laying on the floor the entire time, and they could have gotten out of the thing almost immediately because the key was in the bathtub, blew my 15-year-old mind. I was like, this is the most clever thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I just recently, I had just recently rented Starship Troopers from Blockbuster when it was still around. Yeah.
That had to be life-changing for you, knowing you.
Yeah, because I love Starship Troopers, but I'd only ever seen it on FX when it was edited. And I couldn't watch it growing up because my mom was like, you're not allowed to watch our movies, So being in my teens and my mom not giving a shit, I finally got to see it. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is the best. Boobies and bugs and military. This is awesome, right? But as time went on and I met you, I got to start really watching some weird artsy horror movies. You showed me, I want to say that you showed me Lady Vengeance.
Oh, most definitely.
And then Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Yeah, we watched both of those because I'd already seen Old Boy. I think he showed me Old Boy.
Yeah.
And then, you showed me Martyrs, and that was that changed my life entirely. I started looking for more horror movies and other films that started making me think or making me feel, I started getting into, I don't because he's a bad person, but I really liked The Pianist. I remember when I first saw because that's Polanski.
Oh,
yeah, who's an awful dude.
I
Yeah,
know he did The Pianist.
Yeah, he did. Oh, I know, right? And so it's I have a rough relationship with that one, but I remember watching it and it made me feel bad, and that's cool. Something made me feel. Same thing with Letters from Iwo Jima. I watch a lot of war movies, so that's another one that
Eastwood.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Yeah, that movie makes me feel awful, and it's great. I like that movie a lot. It's good. It's a good one.
Yeah.
But I've been really into A24 films. I like that they take chances on really wacky ideas and people who wouldn't get a shot otherwise, and been pleasantly surprised with a lot of their movies. So my favorite director now is Ari Aster. I love his stuff. And before that, it was Neil Blomkamp. Neil Blomkamp was my favorite director for the longest time because he had just really cool ideas for sci-fi. His sci-fi was very gritty and dirty. It wasn't this clean stuff that you get from Star Wars.
Examples being District 9, Chappie,
and Elysium.
Elysium, thank you.
And then you can also check out Oates is currently on Netflix, and Oates is his like
his
mini
short films. Yes.
Yeah, and some of them are not great, but some of them are really good. There's like The River God, which is like it takes place during Vietnam, the Vietnam era, and this guy basically. This Vietnamese guy has lost everything because of the invasion, and he gives himself over to an ancient deity, and he becomes this like hulking, bloody monstrosity that has like psychonetic powers, and he like crushes people and stuff. And the only way to defeat him is for America to make their own super soldier guy. So he's like, they've got this guy who is like wearing an exosuit. And I think he has a magnetic shield to bend bullets around him, so that he's not getting. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then they've got a thing with Sigourney Weaver, where there's like reptilian aliens.
That one I've seen.
Yeah, that one's cool too. So like he does a lot of cool stuff, but it's kind of fallen off the map. And I don't know if he's ever going to release another good movie.
So many movies in production or rumored that have just never come to fruition.
Like Alien.
Even the RoboCop. Remember, he was going to remake RoboCop.
That's right.
I would have been there day one.
That's where we got Chappie instead, I think.
Was it after that?
I want to say that it was because Chappie has RoboCop elements to it.
Right.
The moose is what the hell is the name of the big thing?
Listener,
EDO1.
I own Chappie and have not seen it, and Will is going to kill me.
Dude, you've never seen Chappie? It's so good. Oh man, there's a scene, and it's so sad because like I do not like Diane Ward, but there's a scene that has
makes two of us.
Ninja talking to this fucking Charlton Copley robot that made me like damn near sob in theaters.
Of course, Copley is the fucking Chappie.
Dude, Charlton Copley's he's
every time he appears on screen, I lean over to my wife and say, "That's Chappie."
He did this while he was watching Maleficent. Hey, you know the king?
I can't. No, I
That's
can't.
Chappie.
I have to. Sorry, I can't take credit for that joke. That's a famous Twitter.
Oh, is it?
It's a famous tweet. Yes.
Oh no shit.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not on Twitter. But yeah, that's me. Like, I don't know. I like a lot of independent horror movies. I like gritty sci-fi. I like things that make you feel bad, but I also watch Marvel movies. So I guess it balances out.
Who doesn't at this point? God, they're just so ubiquitous. You can't not.
You can't not watch a Marvel movie. Or, I mean, you can.
I'm getting behind on them. I actually need to see Wakanda Forever.
That was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
No,
Actually,
I'm excited to see it.
Like, not to completely move us away from Heat entirely, but whatchamacallit, Wakanda Forever was better and worse than the first one in certain ways. And it's actually funny. This guy that I watch, FD Signifier, hopefully you hear this, he is a YouTuber who gives a unique look at the Black experience, right? And he loves Black Panther for what it did for the community, but there were like certain things that he knew that Disney wouldn't allow him to get away with.
Artistic limitations
Right.
on a major, studio film, essentially. Like, this isn't going to be like a Spike Lee movie or something.
Right. So, but he like broke down how Black Panther was like a representation of different sectors of Black culture, like in American Black culture. And his one complaint was that, the CIA they kept him around and he helped them rather than what the CIA normally does, which is destabilize and destroy,
assassinate,
and people, and they don't do good things, right? And so in the second movie, he was able
CIA, if you're listening, we love you.
Yeah, I know. But in the second movie, he gets away with more. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's
don't spoil it.
There's a lot of hidden things in it that I think Coogler, because they trusted him to make this movie, he was able to get away with more stuff.
To borrow a common phrase, he kind of got a blank check after the first one because,
yes.
Oh my God, why wouldn't you give him one?
Right.
Number one. And number two, like, he just proved himself to be such a proficient director.
He was a fantastic director before that, though.
True.
Because Fruitvale Station was fantastic. Yeah. I really enjoyed the Creed movie. I never grew up watching Rocky movies.
God, was Creed before?
Yes. I was actually disappointed watching Black Panther after watching Creed because Coogler does this excellent over-the-shoulder shot where Adonis is fighting against his final fight, and he's in the ring, and he's like circling them around, and like these guys are beating the dog shit out of each other. So I'm like, oh fuck yeah, we're gonna have Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman beating the fuck out of each other in the final fight. It's gonna be amazing, and it's a CGI fight.
That last third of that movie is such. It's obviously like
Disney schlock.
What's it called when they like bring in they auction? No, not auction it out. They send it out to like the B team unit.
Yeah.
To just film a bunch of green screen garbage.
Yep.
That like a bunch of animators have to like just grind themselves over for months and months and months and get it out as fast as possible. Yeah. The ending is so disappointing.
It's so bad.
And we never like Coogler was dealt such a bad hand with the sequel because obviously you can't have Chadwick Boseman again.
Yeah.
And also Michael B. Jordan has been written out of the movie. You know, there's so much like that he can't do, or like he's just been dealt such a weird hand.
I will say tagging, or at least getting Tenoch Huerta as Namor, fantastic.
I've heard, yeah.
Fantastic. He does an excellent job. He oozes charisma. He is just as good as Michael B. Jordan as a anti-hero.
Okay.
And also the final fight is not a stupid CGI fight. Namor beats the ever-loving dog shit out of the main character. I'm not trying to spoil anything.
Right.
He throws elbows into this person. I mean, he's beating the shit out of them. I was actually very convinced that he was going to win the final fight.
So not unlike when Michael B. Jordan beats the absolute dog shit out of Chadwick Boseman.
Halfway through the movie. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like he's basically a demigod, and he's bringing 500 years of combat experience to this fight, and he shows off every bit of it. It's great. I really enjoyed that bit. So, but yeah, I mean,
anyway,
sorry,
not to spoil a movie that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
What is your familiarity with Michael Mann in general? I believe you looked over a list of his films.
I did.
Have you seen any of them? Was Public Enemies the only one?
Public Enemies was the only movie that I saw, and I did see it in theaters because I want to say that Public Enemies came out after The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Around the same time.
Maybe just a few years after.
And Johnny Depp was still big with the Pirates series, right?
Yes.
And
because one of the Pirates came out as The Dark Knight, I remember.
Yeah.
Because I remember having to talk like a friend's grandparents into seeing The Dark Knight, and they're like, "Oh, we just got out of the new Pirates, and it was incredible." And I was like, "Well, you should really see The Dark Knight."
Right,
Me being like an 18-year-old just mouthing off at like the Olive Garden and being like, "You gotta see The Dark Knight!" Like, you know, breadcrumbs falling out of my face.
Well, so it's funny because like I hadn't watched any movies with Johnny Depp in it up before meeting my wife. Yeah. So
before you met your wife. Okay.
Right. So like my mom didn't want me to watch Edward Scissorhands because it would be too scary.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. So, but I didn't get to I didn't see that. I didn't see Corpse Bride. I hadn't seen like a lot of these things that had a minute, right? Mm-hmm. And so Pirates is out, and I don't really care for pirates, but I really enjoyed Edward Scissorhands. So I was like, okay, well, this should be good. Mm-hmm. Johnny Depp's got charisma. Christian Bale's a fantastic actor. I should enjoy this, and I did. It was neat. It was fun watching Johnny Depp break out of jail a bunch of times in very silly ways. Mm-hmm. It was good. I enjoyed it, and the ending was fantastic too because he gets caught. Have you seen Public Enemies?
No.
Oh, the Johnny Depp breaks out of jail a bunch of times. It's like old timey.
Wait, isn't he playing? Is it Dillinger?
No, it's not John Dillinger because John Dillinger never gets caught. Because remember, John Dillinger supposedly jumped out of a plane.
No, that's B.D. Cooper.
Was it?
Yeah. B.D. Cooper never got caught because he jumped out of a plane.
Oh, I'm getting them mixed up. Then yes, because there's a band called
Dillinger get shot?
Yeah, he does at the very end. Yeah, he does coming out of the movie theater.
The theater, yeah.
Yeah, because if that's who that is, yeah. Because John Dillinger's Escape Plan is a band, and he's always escaping. Yeah, good. He gets shot at the end. It's good. If you want to watch it, I'll watch it with you. Yeah. But the most recent Michael Mann thing that I watched, I didn't realize it. He did Tokyo Vice.
Yes,
and
you've been watching that.
I watched 5 episodes.
TV show.
No, it's HBO. It's on HBO Max.
It's HBO Max.
Yeah,
excuse me, the HBO Max show.
Yeah,
probably get taken off any day now, so you should watch it immediately.
I should. It's still on there. It's still on there. And I watched the first 5 episodes, and this was around the time where I had a big paint commission, and because the majority of the show is in Japanese, I can't watch and paint at the same time. I'm not fluent in Japanese, but I would definitely recommend it. It's interesting. It's about a journalist from Utah who leaves his family behind to pursue journalism in Japan. And, it's Ansel Elgort. Yeah, so he's a white guy in Japan, and
Baby Driver himself.
Yeah, Baby Driver. And Baby Driver experiences a lot of racism there. It's hard to get a job. It's hard to get an apartment. It's hard to be taken seriously. And he finds a case where someone was murdered. But during, I want to say, the early 2000s or the late 90s in Japan, crime rate was 0 because every murder was considered a suicide or an accident, right? They didn't want to press into it because, the moment that the thing rises is going to be a big deal, right? So, but he knows that it's a Yakuza that are doing it. And so he starts prying more and more, and he teams up with Ken Watanabe, who is a detective and is interested in possibly solving it, but they have to be very delicate about the whole thing. And it was good. I really enjoyed it from what I saw.
I'll need to check that out because I do love Michael Mann.
I'm sure you do.
The problem is I just don't have a lot of time for an 8-hour movie.
Yeah, it would be. Well, so it's 7 episodes, so it's roughly 7 hours. Yeah.
Have you, before I told you about it, did you have any idea what Heat was?
I've never heard of this movie. I may have had it mentioned to me. You know what's funny is
only in passing, but never.
The ending with when the lights turn on for the plane to land
and the runways at LAX.
That was reminiscent. It almost felt like I had seen.
You maybe came across it on cable or something.
Yeah,
because this movie played on like TBS and like TNT all the time, just like The Dark Knight does now. You know?
It circles back. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Oh, Jesus, thanks for quoting Lucas.
You got it.
I should have asked this much sooner.
Okay, sure. What is it?
Were you pleased with the movie? Did you think it was...
Oh yeah.
Did you like the movie?
I think I did enjoy it. And it was mostly Pacino's performance. Like the firefight was fantastic. That was very cool. But it was Pacino's bombacity that like really sold it to me. Like him talking about Ashley Judd having a great ass and having your head stuck so far up it. And,
this scene, folks, if for some reason you didn't watch the movie going into this episode, please stop and Google Heat Pacino
great ass.
You've got to see this scene. Put it on loop.
It's fantastic, and he makes
so good.
An amazing face while doing it too.
Also, be sure after you've watched it, watch it again and watch Al Pacino's lips, because he is starting to say big ass.
That's right.
And he stops himself. He even mimes with his hands.
Yes, he does.
A large round ass. And then look at Hank Azaria, most is like himself, who he is shouting at in this scene. Look at Hank Azaria's face. That is a real reaction. He did not know Pacino was A, going to go this big, and B, he's improvising these lines, essentially.
Yeah, he's quite stumped.
I listened to the commentary, and Michael Mann is even like, Hank Azaria is a great actor, but he was really thrown off by Al Pacino. And he was constantly looking over at me being like, is this okay? Do you want us to keep going? And I just be like, yeah, no, go with it. And Michael Mann, there's like 3 different parts in the movie where in the commentary, Michael Mann is like, I couldn't be on set for this scene because Pacino was making me laugh so much. I love him. But he would be like, Pacino just goes so big in these scenes, and I couldn't be on set because I kept laughing and I'd ruin the take. So he would have to leave and have, I assume, his like second unit director take over for him, you know?
That's like the
assist AD probably.
The lead cinematographer for the Jackass series always like vomiting.
I've heard of this.
And they had to like get him up. Oh, dude, they show him all the time, and that's like what that reminds me of. Actually, another thing that reminds me of this improvisation thing, Raul, whatchamacallit, the guy, Buffalo Bill, is talking about Raul, some guy he knew in high school. That would
he's telling this story at dinner with the cops' families about a guy at Raul. Okay, yes.
And you said, well, you paused. You're like, hey, so by the way, Michael Mann, I was listening to the commentary, and Michael Mann was like, yeah, he came up with that.
Yeah, he's
I don't know what that
improvising
is.
the story about this guy. I don't know what this is about. And they leave it in. They like cut it in, and he's talking about a guy who would like flip his eyelids inside out.
Not only did they leave it in, but Al Pacino's having a conversation with his wife, and when they cut back to the group, they're all toast
him,
to Raul. What the
We
fuck?
just assume he told a great anecdote about Raul, somebody he knew from high school, I guess.
Fucking great.
Very early on into the movie,
Yes,
you said to me, it seems like Al Pacino is only ever animated at his job.
Yeah.
And buddy, if you hadn't, just fucking hit the nail on the head right away at what his character's problem is.
I
was just flabbergasted, like, wow, this movie really does
it does an excellent job of showing, not telling.
Yes.
This movie does not hold your hand in the slightest.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you excellent context clues. Like even, I'd probably have to watch it a couple more times to catch the two.
You maybe catch a little bit more, but
Yeah.
not enough to like you didn't really misunderstand anything either,
So the one other thing, and I guess this was the one thing that was spelled out to me in the movie, but you also told me, was Natalie Portman's character does attempt to commit Sudoku, and she chooses to do this in Al Pacino's apartment after he had, or not apartment, sorry, hotel room.
Hotel room, because they're separating.
Yeah, he splits with his wife. And Natalie Portman is not his biological daughter. It's his stepdaughter. We're not told how long, or at least I must have missed it if we were, how long he had been married to Natalie Portman's mother.
I don't think it's said. But
Yeah. And so I was kind of confused. I was like, why the fuck did she do that to him? Like, how long have they been together? Like, how close is their relationship? As far as I know, she hasn't been in the movie very much. And the one time that they showed her, she was concerned about some garment that she was missing because she was meeting her biological father for the first time, right? And then, of course, the movie in that one instance does hold your hand because the mother kind of spells it out. She chose you because, whatchamacallit, you are prioritizing, to make a statement, like you're prioritizing work over family, and this is the consequences of it. Your life is literally falling apart. And so, like, maybe that's the only instance where it does do that, but for the most part, the movie does show you what's going on.
Since you brought that up, I will say Michael Mann's maybe his weakest link in his movies is his female characters. Mostly his romantic, interest, like subplots, especially in this movie with Edie. I won't dwell on it much longer because, and it's not, there are multiple romantic partners in this movie, multiple spouses or girlfriends or what have you. It's just Edie's the weakest.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's not great at writing women. I gotta say, it's usually the worst part of his movies. It's just a problem.
How old is he now? Because I'm going to tell you, like,
he's older.
Play to your strengths. Even in Tokyo Vice.
Yeah, I don't. How does that?
So there is a subplot, right, where there is another white person that is living in Japan, and she's a hostess, and her whole goal is saving a fuck ton of money so that she can open up her own host bar. She's been in the business for quite some time. She knows what she's doing. She even tries to convince some of the girls to go with her because I want to say that this host bar is kind of in league with the Yakuza gang that is doing the like loan sharking bit, and she wants to be clean. And of course that bites her in the ass, but she has her own thing going on. And I wouldn't say that it's like poorly written. It is a B plot. And then the lady from the first Pacific Rim, whose name I cannot remember.
I can picture her, but
she's also in the show.
Tokyo Vice,
Tokyo Vice, and she is the editor over Ansel Elgort. And there's like kind of a romantic thing there, but she's like 10 or 15 years older than him, and I didn't get far enough, I think, to see if that comes to fruition, because Ansel is trying to romance this host lady, but the host lady has also kind of got romantic tension between a newly recruited Yakuza. Like the show revolves around Ansel Elgort, Ken Watanabe, this host lady, Ansel Elgort's editor, and this fresh Yakuza. It's 5 characters.
Okay.
And they've all got something going on, but I don't think that these two are poorly written. So maybe he's finally gotten over that.
Or
bit.
maybe,
I don't really know.
And maybe he's not the sole credited writer on that show. Maybe he brought in people to help flesh that out, because that's something that George Miller did with Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he brought on like some feminist writers to help flesh out that movie, and holy shit,
it's fantastic.
Pay out dividends. Yeah,
for sure.
But anyway, Michael Mann's weakest link is usually his
nobody's
romantic
perfect.
interest in female characters. It's
Blomkamp's weakest link is that he can't control his fucking ideas, and if he doesn't have somebody on set to rope him in, they go crazy.
He needs like someone to tell him no sometimes. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with we could tie this into Nolan. I mean, you've seen Tenet, right?
Oh, of course.
Tenet wasn't co-written with his wife. His wife normally co-writes with him.
Is that the only one that she didn't work on?
I want to say Interstellar was the other one, but I really liked Interstellar, and I did not care too much for Tenet.
I think Interstellar is maybe his most emotional film.
And he didn't. I don't know if she helped him with that one, but I know that like.
Well, he's famous for fridging his female characters too.
Is he?
Yes.
Hold on, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, because he did it with Insomnia.
But Majestic, there's a
Majestic?
Not Majestic, sorry. The other one, The Prestige. Sorry, The Majestic and The Prestige came out around the same time, and they're both about
I don't even remember either of their spouses in that movie.
But they didn't die. They didn't get fridged.
Fair.
And then whatchamacallit, he didn't kill off what's her name until the second movie because they had to replace the actress.
Rachel.
Yeah. Rachel.
Where is she? Rachel, where is she? Well, his mom dies in one. His mom dies in Batman Begins. He fridged his mom.
Batman's mom has to die in fucking every thing that he's in. He's not that. Don't put that on him. And then in
they don't kill his parents in the Pattinson movie, do they? In the Batman.
Because it's already assumed they're dead.
Well, right, but they don't even bother with.
They don't need to.
They don't even bother with a flash.
They don't need
of
to.
Their bodies. No, I agree they don't need to, but they always do,
Yeah,
and I'm so glad they didn't. Anyway, this is not the episode on the Batman.
No, it's not.
That episode will come.
But also, whatchamacallit, the what's her name in Interstellar wasn't killed. In fact, she was.
Well, that was. I feel like that movie is the exception, not the rule.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, Murph's mom's dead. Does that count?
Damn it. Well, she's never even on screen, though.
No,
is
she's
she?
not.
Yeah, so I mean, again, that also could be an example of fridging.
And then in Tenet, there is a main female character who doesn't die, as far as I can remember.
I saw Tenet once, and I really need to go back.
I saw it once too.
I need to perform a.
She's a tall lady. She's a really tall lady.
What the fuck is it?
She's got short.
A temporal pincer movement. I need to perform another temporal pincer movement.
Fucking God.
In order to make time in my life to watch Tenet again.
I did not like that movie.
You didn't like Tenet?
No. I thought there was a lot of impressive stuff in there, but like when the main character's name is just main character, that's what his name is.
I generally liked it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Don't have more complicated feelings than that because I need to watch it again. It's a Nolan movie. You've got to watch it more than once. That's because I always come out of them being a little like I just woke up from a nap. Is the best way to put my finger on it. You know,
you got fog brain. You're like, what the fuck did I just experience?
I just had a lot thrown at me. I think I liked it, but I really need to go back again and like let it sit with me. I had to do that with Inception for sure.
That was with me with The Last Jedi. But we're not going to discuss that one. Too much hatred.
Let's blow up.
Not for me though. Not for me though. I liked
I think we both loved The Last Jedi.
It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
The only Star Wars movie I own, in fact.
It's really good. I like it.
And I'm not virtue signaling by saying that.
No. I love it. I love all Star Wars movies though.
You did drag me to that one though, because you were like, you have to see this. So I was like, okay, I'll watch Force Awakens in order to prepare, and then I had a great time. And then that third one was absolute garbage.
Rare Will W. What we got? What's up?
Okay, this is the last thing I wrote down.
Okay.
We have to get into this.
Yeah.
We discussed being ride or die for your partner.
Okay, yeah.
What was the inciting incident in the movie?
It was Val Kilmer. So Val Kilmer goes to find his...
Val Kilmer and Ashley Judd. This is very important.
Yeah,
I love this part of the movie.
So Ashley Judd's been like cheating on Val Kilmer's character.
With Hank Azaria.
Yeah, with Hank Azaria fucking Mo Sizlak. And at one point, Mo invites her over for like her and her kid for like dinner or whatever, and then it turns out the fucking cops are there.
It's
right?
a sting operation.
It's a sting operation.
We want you to pull in your husband so that we can catch him after this robbery.
And Shotgun Sniper pulls over, and because I don't remember his name, I'm sorry.
I don't either.
But he was very good. He was like the sane detective when it comes to like Al Pacino's craziness. He was always there to like.
He was playing the good cop to Al Pacino's bad cop. Crazy cop, yeah.
So he has a conversation with her and says basically, hey, look, if you turn in Val Kilmer, nothing will happen to you. You will walk scot-free. If you do not turn in Val Kilmer, you will be an accessory to all of the things that he's done because you know where he is and you can turn him in. And you will be gone, which means that your son will be an orphan because you don't have any family, neither does he. And so your son's going to go through different orphanages, and then, one day he's going to steal his first car, and then he's going to go to jail, and he's going to learn to, basically be his dad, and you're taking away his chance at a normal life, right? Basically, talking her into the only option, which is to turn in Val Kilmer, right? So later on, Val Kilmer recovers from his bullet wound and has a fake identity, has a new car, all this other stuff, and even has a new haircut. His hair is long throughout the entire movie, but then he gets it cut really short. So he goes to find Ash. What's up?
I'm not sure if that's... So the first time I saw this, I thought that was because he had surgery, but now I'm realizing it's actually because he was changing his identity after the shootout.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So he goes to where Mo Sizlak is living, right? And Ashley Judd is forced to walk out to kind of identify him, right? He gets out of the car, he's smiling, he's excited, and she does not return the smile and makes you said a poker or a blackjack?
She gives the stay hand movement, and apparently it's because her character used to be a blackjack dealer at a casino, and that's how she met Val Kilmer's character, because he was a degenerate gambler, as she yells at him in the beginning. But she gives him the stay hand movement discreetly so the cops don't see it, because she's telling him, don't come in, like, just go away, stay, because it's a sting, obviously.
Yeah.
And his expression when he sees her on the balcony, he's just so happy and he's beaming. And then he realizes she's not smiling back, and she makes the hand movement, and his whole demeanor just
changes. Yep.
And he just looks
defeated.
Like he just had horrible news. So he turns around and like talks to a guy playing basketball behind him and asks for directions somewhere.
Yeah, and then he fucks off. And I was not clued into the new identity or anything like that.
Well, you're not told.
Yeah, you're supposed to. You're not supposed to be.
Because,
no.
And she even looks like, I just doomed myself because he's going to get arrested, and now I just fucked up my chances.
She looked a little victorious when she walked in. And she wasn't. She was doing a poker face.
Maybe because she was proud of what she did, but when she sits down, she looks upset, and she makes sure that the officer can't see her.
Right, because it's a tell.
Right, and then he orders the black and whites that are nearby to pull over Val Kilmer. They do. They run his car and his license, and it comes clean. It's a fake identity, as we can tell, but it comes back clean, and he's like, "Okay, let him go." And then she changes. She's now elated, and she's like, "He got away."
Yep. Well, so now it's a good thing he's the only bad guy.
He's the only, the only
that survives,
part of the heist crew that escapes. Yeah,
but he can't. He can never meet his kid again. I don't think they can hook up.
I maybe we could assume that, but
now you did tell me there is a Heat 2.
There is a Heat 2,
a novelization.
It is a novel that Michael Mann wrote, and it came out this year.
Do you think it has a continuation to the story?
From what I understand, I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it for Christmas.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think it's a prequel. So there's no events that take place after the movie.
Why would it be called Heat 2, though?
Buddy.
Michael Mann's second shortcoming is his sequel names.
Michael Mann doesn't do sequels.
That's why
I don't think
he
he's
wrote
ever
it.
done a sequel.
I think that's why he wrote it.
Yeah, maybe because he just couldn't. It's not a movie that you could film now either. You know.
You don't think?
You know, because like, how would you get everybody back? They're all ancient now.
Oh, well, you definitely couldn't get Val Kilmer.
And if you, well, yeah, unfortunately,
unless you, yeah.
But and if you did the prequel, you'd have to recast everybody, and that would be upsetting.
You can't do that.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole Val Kilmer and Ashley Judd situation spurred the ride or die question.
Oh yeah, because before we find out that he's going to be clean and stuff, I say, "Holy shit, she just doomed her kid to an awful existence.
Right,
You should have fucking turned him in."
Yeah.
Yeah, because I am a dad. And I care about my child.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. I care about my son. Yeah, now to I fuck.
Okay. Okay.
So, but if it was a situation where I could possibly like fuck over my kid by doing something to help my wife or whatever,
Turning in your wife.
If she's running around with a gang that is shooting cops and stealing shit, yeah, you killed people. Like, how can I fucking stand by that? And doom my kid's future. I would absolutely, because I want the best for my kid, regardless of what that means for me or my wife. Granted, my wife is not running around shooting cops, thankfully.
I mean, that you know of.
Not that I know, but if I was in a fucked up situation where that was the case,
many other circumstances of your life would change.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Before you put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
It raised an interesting question to me because I couldn't say that I would, because. So I used to have a boss.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I know. I gotta get into the story. Yes. I'm not going to use any names.
No, it's fine.
Except for myself and my own wife.
Yeah.
But I used to have a boss who I had a big disagreement with once. And I think it went on. We would bring it up later, of course. But it was the discussion of ride or die. And she brought this up. She, positioned this situation to me where she was like, if your spouse had ever killed anybody, your partner, what have you, we were both married. She said, if your partner had ever killed anybody, would you turn them in? Mm-hmm. And I was like, no. Like, no. And she was like, would you like aid and abet their escape? And I was like, well, yeah. And granted, like, there's no nuance to that question.
Right.
Because you could say like, well,
who was it? Yeah.
Was it in cold blood? Was it in self-defense?
Right.
Was it premeditated? Was it somebody that I was like, oh, hell yeah, they had that shit coming, or something like that. You know what I mean? But even if maybe worst case scenario is I had no idea and I didn't know the person and I just was told, your wife killed somebody, you need to help us catch her. My immediate instinct is, hell no, I'm going to cover for her because I assume that she made the right decision. Like if it was me, I would have done it, and I'm her only ally in this world at this point, and I've got to do anything I can, because I know my wife better than anybody. I'm their only ally, especially in a situation like that. I'm going to be the only person that could have their back, and even if they made a mistake, that's fine. Like, I'm willing to go to bat for that. And my boss, who posed this question to me, couldn't believe that, was shocked by that. I remember thinking, I'm like, well, and she had been with her partner longer than I had been with mine at the time. And I was just like, I just don't know.
Jared, I think that's a little telling on,
well,
like that's a self-report on her. But also, CIA,
in retrospect, that is how I've come to feel about it.
Hold on, I know the CIA was listening earlier. I do not condone or condemn. No, how do I separate myself from you real quick?
I do not approve of this man's
there you go. Yeah,
feelings
exactly.
and actions.
We need to throw up the dumb opinion. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
You completely disassociate yourself from me and any and all opinions on this podcast.
Yes.
The opinions that Jared is expressing does not reflect my own.
Yeah, there we go. That's what it is. But no, that I do believe that's a self-report on her end because
Right? Because what's the point of being ride or die?
it does make sense the way that you're saying is like, okay, well, if I'm with this person and I know that they make good decisions, then what happened was probably something that was well thought out and not like spur of the moment, or it was an accident.
Or even if it was a mistake, like that's fine. I'm here for you. You know?
Right, because you need to have somebody in your corner. I guess in the context of me turning in my wife was I am Ashley Judd and Haley is Val Kilmer.
So that situation from this movie changes things dramatically because there's a third variable, and it's the child.
It's the kid.
Yeah, that makes everything different.
Yeah,
and that's not part of the equation.
No.
With the ride or die situation that I have with my boss, I could see that changing things because if it is a difference between, like, you know, people I know have expressed to me that I don't want to name them, but people that I know have been like, if it was between like my child and my spouse, like I got to pick the child, and the spouse feels the same way, you know. And I get that. Like, I'm not at that position yet, but I get that. I can understand that. But if it's a matter of turning over my spouse to the police, no. And
I gotcha.
Watch this be used against me in a court case 10 years later.
It's pretty crazy. Like, you know, sometimes when I see Courtney, she's got like a little blood craze in her eyes. So, like, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, hopefully, yeah, I'll have to delete this recording.
Put it out the fucking airlock. Shunt it.
It's weird. The police couldn't get Jared to cooperate. I wonder if there was any evidence to prove that.
Shit.
Self-reporting. Yeah.
It is a self-report. Al Pacino made the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, he was just so great and so crazy. It was a riot.
How did you feel about the score?
You know, I didn't really pay attention to it, but the ending score was fantastic. It's got kind of like a synthwave thing going on, but like it's the 90s, so it's just like synth instead.
It's Elliot Goldenthal did the score. And that ending song that kind of gets pumped, you know.
Yeah, it's
as
slowly.
De Niro's dying and, and Al Pacino's holding his hand. Elliot Goldenthal did the song, and then Moby was brought in. You're familiar with Moby?
I know who Moby is. Yeah, from the Eminem song.
Oh my! That's your context for Moby?
That's the first time I had ever heard of who Moby was. I'm not even joking.
From Without Me.
Yeah, from Without Me.
Wow.
I'm dead serious.
I'm
I
was gloss right over that. We don't have time to unpack that. I'm glossing right the hell over that.
Okay. Anyways, they brought in Moby.
So Michael Mann brought in Moby to work on the soundtrack and contributed 2 songs. One was a cover of a New Order song.
Okay.
That plays while Hannah is chasing Robert De Niro in the helicopter to meet up with him and asks him to go to coffee with him at the diner. The second is he kind of remixed and revised the song for the end. The original song turned in is fine, and you hear that song in it.
Yeah.
But Moby samples it, adds synthesizer to it, cranks it up to 11 to make it extra emotional.
Yeah.
I think it's better. There is a contingent of people online who strongly disagree. They think
we don't like them. I'm just going to come out and say we don't like them.
They got opinions. It's fine.
Bad opinions.
I think the version that's in it, and Moby is a problematic person for reasons I'm not going to get into here. Actually, some of them are related to another actress in this movie, Natalie Portman, but we're, again, not going to get into it here.
Oh, okay.
This is not the Moby Deep Dive podcast.
Holy shit.
I like some of Moby's music.
There's so much stuff going on.
Yes, I understand it's him just ripping off decades of soul music and not crediting the artist correctly. Anyway, I apologize. I grew up really liking Moby's music. I like techno. I like soulful synth music, whatever his genre is.
Yeah.
He seems like an asshole, though, in real life. Anyway, his version of Jerry Goldsmith's song at the end is so
It's good.
I own the soundtrack on vinyl, and I did have it playing in the background lightly when you came in.
Oh, was that what that was?
Yeah, it wasn't that song. I just had it playing from the beginning. I just put on the A side of the first disc because, it's vinyl. So, it's, you only get 5 tracks per side. I'm not going to sit there and flip the thing while I was trying to pick up the house. I love this movie so much. It's such a classic. It is. I mean, is there a more representational dad movie to you? What's the canon?
I'm going to go right to Top Gun. That's a
previous gen dad movie to me.
Okay,
this is only 10 years newer than that, I guess.
You're asking if this is like the dad movie for millennials because like they grew up watching this stuff? Because I'm a dad.
I don't think it's even that because it's so old.
This is a Gen Z dad movie. You know what? I'll ask my
come back around.
Not Gen Z, sorry. Not Gen Z.
Gen X?
Gen X.
That might be Top Gun.
You think?
Yeah, because Gen X kids were in their 20s by 95, right?
Yeah.
Because Gen X is Kurt Cobain and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were grown-ups. They were becoming dads when Heat came out. Oh, wait, is that what you're saying? The Gen X?
That's what I'm getting is like, if this is like something that, you know, people who are dads would have gone and seen in theaters because they're dads
or they saw it on TNT and they were like, oh, I like that movie
because dads like guns and two dudes just talking
and two guys that only get each other even though they have to hunt each other.
Poorly written female characters because we don't like women. We want to just watch two dudes.
Or we like women, we don't know how to pay them the proper respects and represent them accurately.
Two dudes just grunting it out. That's what that is. Yes, if this checks all those boxes, but when I just think about a dad movie, I think about Top Gun.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little outdated, but then again, isn't Top Gun 84?
It's in the 80s. I can't remember when it was, but like I watched it with my dad, and then I watched the new one with my dad. So like maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
But that only makes it 10 years older than Heat, I believe. So it's not even that big of a jump.
No. You know what?
Wild.
You know what? We will watch The Rock, right? Because that was my first horror movie. I did watch that with my dad, and it has similar things to
movie.
it. It is 100% a dad movie, and it is much gorier than this one.
Oh yeah.
They have like it's almost Verhoeven levels of squibs on people. It's only in a certain. There's one scene where it is a massacre. And then the movie actually is doing its thing. Yeah, it's I don't want to spoil anything.
Right.
But like there's one scene and you'll know right when it's about to happen and people just get mulched.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I mean, I enjoyed it and I didn't realize it was fucking Michael Bay.
I know so much about this movie that I've absorbed through osmosis through pop culture, but I just have never got around to it for some reason. And I even saw like Armageddon and Transformers and
Nick Cage is butt ass naked within the first like 5 minutes. And the only thing that's covering his junk, I want to say, is either a guitar or a cowboy hat. I can't quite remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that information now.
But yes, I would recommend this movie. It was very fun to watch. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And yes, watch it with your dad. Your dad will like it.
Watch it with your dad. I want to go out on a Jim Gaffigan joke.
Okay, let's hear it.
About this movie.
He has a joke about this movie?
He does.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'll drop it here.
I love watching movies. You ever rent a movie that was released a while ago and you enjoy it, but there's kind of that awkwardness because you can't talk about it with anyone? You're like, hey, I just saw Heat. I saw that 6 years ago. I want to talk about it now. No, loser.
Will, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I love it.
Debaser is hosted by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. The podcast is edited and produced by Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to podcast@debaserpod.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening, and take care out there.